The legendary Abrams is believed to be one of the best tanks in the world. Developed in 1979, it has been in service in the U.S. since 1980. Initially, it was named XM-1, and later renamed after General Creighton W. Abrams, Jr. The main battle tank Abrams M1 was developed by Chrysler Defense to replace the outdated M60, ensuring greater reliability, repairability, durability and, above all, fighting capacity. No other US-made tank still surpasses it in terms of technical features. In 1998, the magazine Military Ordnance rated M1A2 the world's second-best main battle tank after the German Leopard 2*5. It is used by the armies of Poland, Egypt, Morocco, Saudi Arabia and other countries. The Abrams fought in such operations as Desert Storm in the Persian Gulf, Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan and Iraqi Freedom in Iraq. During Desert Storm, they effectively destroyed Soviet-made 72s, according to a 1992 report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office. Only 23 Abrams tanks out of nearly 2,000 used in the operation were lost. 7 of them were destroyed by friendly fire, and 2 were blown up not to let them fall into the enemy's hands. There, the U.S. forces used the M1A1 modification, and the tank has since undergone a series of modernizations. The tanks earmarked for Ukraine will not be those from U.S. stocks but newly manufactured latest generation tanks. Robert Abrams, the retired Army general who commanded the U.S. forces in Korea and whose father the tank was named after, said in a comment that the difference between the M1A1 and the latest modification is like the difference between a wire telephone and the iPhone you're holding in your hand. Besides, the modernized version is greatly more lethal than the M1A1. In terms of lethal power, durability and mobility, the M1A2 surpasses everything that Russia has on the battlefield, stressed General Abrams. The Abrams is armed with an M256 120mm smooth-barrel gun developed by Germany's Rheinmetall and produced in the U.S. under license. This gun fires both sub-caliber armor-piercing and cumulative projectiles. The heads of armor-piercing projectiles are normally made of tungsten alloys, but some contain depleted uranium. The latter have a very high piercing rate and cause heavy destruction. Gathering an extremely high speed, projectiles with depleted uranium can pierce the thickest armor. Furthermore, depleted uranium is pyrophoric, it can self-ignite upon impact. Fragments blaze up just from contact with air, setting the fuel tanks on fire or causing ammo detonation. The Abrams is really a perfect tank killer that can destroy tanks of any model used by any country. Russia's reaction to the announced provision of Abrams tanks to the Ukrainian army could easily be described as hysterical. It seems quite absurd that those who destroy Ukrainian cities can suddenly become so concerned about their health of Ukrainians who could be affected by depleted uranium. But weapons containing depleted uranium are classified as conventional, not nuclear or chemical, and are freely used by armies. In terms of radioactive exposure, an armor-piercing shell head is no more hazardous than a piece of steel or copper. Of course, it is radioactive, but its 4.51 billion-year half-life makes the substance almost harmless, as the intensity of ionizing radiation of radioactive material is inversely proportional to the half-life period. The designers paid special attention to the crew's survival, placing the 40-round ammo compartment in the rear part of the turret. In the event of detonation, special panels deflect the shockwave from the crew, thus making their chances to survive a lot higher. By contrast, the crews of Soviet-made but even modern Russian-made tanks are doomed in that case. The Abrams is believed to be one of the heaviest armed tanks in the world. Its multi-layer combined armor is similar to that of the British Chilbom. The armor on the new modifications also has depleted uranium content, which makes it practically invulnerable to any anti-tank weapons. The front turret and chassis armor can withstand 700mm armor-piercing sub-caliber shells and 850mm cumulative shells. Also, the automatic fire extinguishing system instantly reacts to any ignition inside the tank. Even in the first modification, the fire control system was so good that it achieved 90% precision in hitting a moving target from 2,000 meters. It was later improved by integrating new systems and devices in the single intervehicular information system. The Abrams has ballistic fire control system with an inbuilt rangefinder and thermal imager. Sensors send data to the computer system that automatically builds the trajectory to the target on the basis of range, data, vehicle and gun tilt, barometric pressure and even wind direction. All the gunner has to do manually is feed the munition type and outside temperature. In the latest modifications, the driver's infrared night vision system has been replaced with a comprehensive thermal imaging system. The Abrams uses the Avco-Lycoming 1,500 horsepower gas turbine engine. Durable and frugal, it can run on gasoline, diesel, kerosene and other types of fuel. Should the engine need to be repaired, the design provides for replacing about 70% of parts without having to remove the engine from the body. In the event the whole engine needs to be replaced, it takes about 60 minutes. There was an interesting episode recently on the front line. The crew of a Ukrainian T-64 tank gave it the call sign Abrams just for fun. The Russian invaders were impressed, to say the least. In intercepted radio calls they were heard warning their tank crews that the Ukrainians were already using U.S. tanks. Well, now their fears are about to materialize. The M1 Abrams is the third generation of main battle tanks produced by the United States. Named after General Creighton Abrams, Chief of Staff and Commander of the United States Army in Vietnam from 1968 to 1972. The M1 is a highly armed, heavily armored, and highly mobile tank designed for armored fighting vehicles. The specialty of this tank is the gas turbine engine, with JP-8 fuel jet fuel, adopting advanced composite armor layers, and separate ammunition storage in separate compartments for the safety of the crew. Weighing close to 62 tons, the M1 is one of the heaviest tanks still in use. The M1 Abrams was developed during the Cold War as a replacement for the cancelled MBT-70. The M1 Abrams contract went to Chrysler Defense and was the first vehicle to be adopted by the Choban fleet. The pre-Persian Gulf War adaptations, Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, provided better weapon and NBC, nuclear, biological and chemical, vehicle protection.